The hallway was packed that Monday morning. Students rushed past each other, laughing, shouting, slamming lockers. The noise was almost deafening. And right in the middle of all that chaos, 16-year-old Lily Chen felt completely alone. She hadn't slept well in weeks. Every night she'd lie awake listening to her parents argue downstairs. The same fights over and over. Money problems. Her dad had lost his job 3 months ago, and the stress was tearing their family apart. Her mom worked double shifts at the hospital now, coming home exhausted and irritable. Her dad spent most days sending out resumes and getting rejection after rejection. Lily used to be a straight-A student. She used to have friends, go to movies on weekends, actually care about things. But lately everything felt heavy. Getting out of bed took effort. Smiling felt fake. Her teachers had started giving her concerned looks when she turned in half-finished assignments or zoned out during class. That morning, she'd grabbed her backpack in a rush, throwing in textbooks, notebooks, loose papers, her laptop, everything she needed for the day. The bag was stuffed so full the zipper barely closed. She knew she should organize it, but she just couldn't find the energy to care anymore. As she walked down the main hallway toward her locker, Lily kept her head down. She'd learned that if you don't make eye contact, people don't really see you. You become invisible. Sometimes that felt safer than being noticed. She was almost at her locker when someone bumped into her from behind. Not hard, just a typical hallway collision. But her backpack, already straining at the seams, finally gave up. The zipper burst open and everything came tumbling out. Books hit the floor with loud thuds. Papers scattered everywhere, sliding across the tile in different directions. Pens rolled away. Her laptop case landed with a sound that made her heart stop. Students had to step around the mess, some of them shooting annoyed looks her way. Lily just stood there for a second, frozen. This felt like the perfect symbol of her life right now. Everything falling apart. Everything out of control. She dropped to her knees and started grabbing at her things frantically. A worksheet got kicked by someone's shoe and slid further down the hall. Her history textbook lay open, pages bent. She reached for her notebook just as someone stepped on a few loose papers, leaving a dirty footprint. "Watch it," someone muttered, stepping over her outstretched hand. Her eyes started to burn. No, she thought. Don't cry, not here, not in front of everyone. But the tears were coming anyway. She kept her head down, hoping her hair would hide her face. She gathered papers with shaking hands, not even looking at what she was picking up. Some of her things had scattered under other students' feet, and she had to wait for people to pass before she could reach them. A group of girls from her English class walked by. One of them glanced down and laughed. "Rough day," she said to her friends, not even talking to Lily directly. They kept walking, their voices fading into the noise. Lily's chest felt tight. She couldn't breathe properly. The hallway seemed to close in around her. More students flowed past like a river. Everyone in their own world, everyone with somewhere to be. The warning bell would ring soon, and she was still on her hands and knees, scrambling to pick up the pieces. She finally got most of her books stacked in a messy pile. Now she was crawling around trying to gather the papers. Some had slid under the lockers. Some were torn or crumpled. One had what looked like a partial footprint across her math homework. Her laptop case was a few feet away. She grabbed it and held it close, praying nothing inside was broken. Her parents couldn't afford to replace it. They couldn't afford anything right now. As she knelt there, surrounded by the mess of her scattered belongings, something inside Lily just cracked. This wasn't just about dropping her backpack. This was about everything. The fighting at home. The loneliness. The feeling that she was drowning and nobody even noticed. The exhaustion of pretending everything was fine when nothing was fine. She stayed on the floor, even though she'd gathered most of her things. She just didn't have the energy to stand up yet. Students continued flowing around her like water around a rock. Some glanced down with mild curiosity. Most didn't look at all. Lily had never felt so small, so invisible, so completely and utterly alone. She thought about her old life before everything got hard. She used to sit with friends at lunch, actually enjoying their conversations. She used to raise her hand in class. She used to come home and do homework at the kitchen table, while her mom cooked dinner and her dad told jokes. That life felt like it belonged to someone else now, some other girl who didn't exist anymore. The warning bell rang, echoing through the hallway. Students picked up their pace, rushing to get to class. Lily knew she should move. She should grab her stuff and go. But she stayed there for another moment. One more moment, gathering what little strength she had left. She didn't know it yet, but her whole life was about to change. Because someone was watching, someone who understood exactly what it felt like to be invisible, to feel like you're falling apart while the whole world keeps moving. Someone who'd been where she was and knew that sometimes the smallest gesture can mean everything. But in that moment, kneeling on the cold hallway floor with tears threatening to spill over, Lily Chen had no idea that help was coming. She just felt alone. Then someone stopped. In a hallway full of rushing students, someone actually stopped walking. Lily didn't notice at first. She was still staring at the scattered papers, trying to will herself to stand up, trying to pull herself together. "Hey," a voice said quietly. "Let me help you with that." Lily looked up and saw a tall boy with dark hair kneeling down beside her. She didn't know his name, but she'd seen him around school. He was a senior, one of those quiet kids who never caused trouble but never really stood out either. He wore a faded band t-shirt and had kind eyes. Before she could say anything, he was already gathering her papers, carefully smoothing out the wrinkled ones. He picked up her pens, checked under the lockers for anything that had slid underneath, and stacked her textbooks in a neat pile. Lily just watched, too stunned to move. People didn't do this. People didn't stop to help. They just kept walking, kept living their lives, kept being too busy to notice when someone was struggling. "Your laptop, okay?" he asked, nodding toward the case she was clutching. "I don't know," Lily managed to say. Her voice came out rough, barely more than a whisper. "I hope so." He gave her a small, understanding smile. "Those cases are pretty tough. I've dropped mine like 5 times and it still works. You're probably fine." He kept gathering her things without making a big deal out of it. Didn't ask why she was on the floor. Didn't comment on her red eyes or the fact that she clearly looked like a mess. He just helped. When they'd collected everything, he helped her load it all back into her backpack more carefully this time, organizing the books so they wouldn't shift around. He even found a rubber band in his pocket to wrap around some of her loose papers. "There," he said, standing up and offering her his hand. "Better than before, I think." Lily took his hand and let him help her up. Her legs felt shaky. The hallway was quieter now, most students already in their classrooms. They were both going to be late. "Thanks," she said, not quite meeting his eyes. "You didn't have to do that, I know," he said simply. He picked up his own backpack from where he'd dropped it. "But I wanted to." They stood there for a second in the empty hallway. Lily felt like she should say something else, but her mind was blank. This stranger had just shown her more kindness than anyone had in months, and she didn't know how to process it. "I'm Ryan, by the way," he said. "Lily. Nice to meet you, Lily." He started walking toward the classrooms, and she walked beside him, even though they were probably heading in different directions. "Listen, I've noticed you around school. You usually sit alone at lunch, right? By the windows." Lily felt her face get hot. So she wasn't as invisible as she thought. Someone had noticed. "Yeah," she admitted quietly. "Me too," Ryan said. "Well, not by the windows. I usually sit in the back corner with a couple of friends. We're not like a big group or anything. Just some people who like to actually eat our lunch in peace, you know." He paused at an intersection in the hallway. "You should join us sometime. If you want." Lily opened her mouth and closed it. Part of her wanted to say yes immediately. Part of her wanted to run away. She'd gotten so used to being alone, to not having to pretend she was okay. Sitting with people meant conversation. It meant smiling. It meant having to act normal. "I don't know," she said honestly. Ryan nodded like he understood. "No pressure. The offer's open whenever." He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small notebook, tearing off a corner of a page. He scribbled something on it with a pen. "Here's my number. If you ever need someone to talk to, or if you just want company at lunch, text me. Seriously." He handed her the paper, and Lily took it, staring at the numbers written in blue ink. Her throat felt tight again, but this time it wasn't from sadness. It was from something else. Something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope, maybe, or just the simple relief of knowing that someone somewhere actually cared. "Why?" she asked suddenly. The question came out before she could stop it. "Why are you being nice to me? You don't even know me." Ryan was quiet for a moment. His expression shifted, becoming more serious, more real. "A couple years ago, I was having a really bad time," he said slowly. "Like really bad. My mom had just died and I felt like I was drowning. I stopped caring about school, about friends, about everything. And one day, I was sitting alone in the library, and this teacher, Mr. Patterson, he just sat down next to me. Didn't say much, just asked if I was okay. Actually listened when I told him I wasn't. He looked down at his shoes. That one conversation, that one person taking 5 minutes to check on me, it pulled me back from a really dark place. Mr. Patterson told me something I'll never forget. He said that everybody's fighting battles nobody knows about, and sometimes the smallest gesture of kindness can change everything. Lily felt tears starting again, but different tears this time. Tears of relief, of recognition, of feeling seen. So yeah, Ryan continued, meeting her eyes. I notice people who seem like they're struggling, because I've been there, and I know what it means when someone reaches out. He adjusted his backpack. I don't know what you're going through, Lily, but I can tell it's something heavy, and I just want you to know you don't have to carry it alone. The late bell rang, making them both jump. They were definitely late now. I should get to class, Lily said, but she didn't move. Yeah, me too. Ryan didn't move either. Then he grinned. We're already late. Another minute won't kill us. He looked at her seriously. Promise me something? Promise you'll text me, even if it's just to say hi. Even if you don't want to sit with us at lunch yet. Just so I know you're okay. Lily clutched the piece of paper with his number. Okay, she whispered. I promise. Good. Ryan started walking backward down the hall. And hey, Lily, it gets better. I know that sounds like something adults say that doesn't mean anything, but I'm telling you, from someone who's been in the dark place, it really does get better. You just have to hang on long enough to see it. Then he turned and jogged toward his classroom, leaving Lily standing alone in the hallway. But for the first time in months, she didn't feel alone. She looked down at the paper in her hand, at the phone number written there. A lifeline from a stranger who wasn't really a stranger at all. That evening, after a silent dinner where her parents barely spoke to each other, Lily sat in her room staring at her phone. The piece of paper with Ryan's number was on her desk. She must have picked it up and put it down a dozen times. What would she even say? Hi, thanks for helping me pick up my stuff? That seemed stupid. But Ryan had asked her to text him. He'd made her promise. Finally, before she could overthink it anymore, she typed out a simple message. Hey, it's Lily. From the hallway. Thanks again for helping me today. It really meant a lot. She hit send before she could delete it. Then she sat there staring at her phone, her heart beating fast. Maybe he wouldn't respond. Maybe he'd already forgotten about her. Maybe her phone buzzed. Hey, I'm glad you texted. How'd the rest of your day go? Lily felt something unfold in her chest. Something that had been tightly closed for so long. She started typing a response, and for the first time in months, she felt like maybe, just maybe, things might be okay. The text between Lily and Ryan became a regular thing. Nothing heavy at first, just simple conversations. He'd send her a funny meme during study hall. She'd tell him about her terrible day in chemistry class. Small stuff. Normal stuff. The kind of stuff Lily had forgotten she missed. 3 days after the hallway incident, Ryan texted her during lunch period. So, still sitting alone by the windows? Lily looked around the cafeteria from her usual spot. The bright windows, the empty chairs around her, her half-eaten sandwich. Yeah, she was still alone. Maybe, she typed back. Come sit with us. I promise we're not weird. Well, we're a little weird, but in a good way. Lily's stomach twisted with anxiety. The thought of walking across the cafeteria, of everyone watching her, of having to make conversation with strangers, it felt like too much. But then she thought about how Ryan had stopped to help her, how he'd shared his own story, how he'd asked her to text him and he'd actually responded, actually kept talking to her. Maybe she could be brave for 5 minutes. Where are you sitting? She texted back left corner. I'm wearing a blue hoodie. Can't miss us. Lily took a deep breath, grabbed her lunch tray and stood up. The walk across the cafeteria felt like a mile. She kept her eyes fixed on the back corner, trying not to notice if anyone was watching her. Ryan saw her coming and waved, a big, genuine smile on his face. He was sitting with 3 other people at a round table. As Lily got closer, they all looked up at her with friendly expressions. Hey, you came, Ryan said, pulling out the empty chair next to him. Guys, this is Lily. Lily, this is everyone. A girl with bright purple streaks in her hair grinned at her. I'm Alex, that's Tyler. She pointed to a guy with glasses who gave a little wave. And that's Jordan. Jordan, who had short hair and paint stains on their jeans, nodded hello. Hi, Lily said quietly, sliding into the chair. Her heart was pounding so hard she was sure they could all hear it. "So Ryan tells us you survived Mr. Henderson's chemistry class this morning," Alex said. "That man should not be allowed near Bunsen burners. Last week he nearly set his own tie on fire." Lily felt herself relax a tiny bit. "He did set something on fire today, actually. I think it was supposed to be a demonstration about oxidation, but mostly it was just scary." Everyone laughed. And Tyler launched into a story about the time Mr. Henderson accidentally created a small explosion during class. The conversation flowed easily. Nobody asked Lily where she'd been sitting before or why she was joining them now. They just welcomed her like it was the most natural thing in the world. As lunch went on, Lily learned that Alex was really into photography. Tyler was a math genius who somehow made calculus sound interesting. And Jordan was an artist who painted murals around town. Ryan mostly listened and laughed at everyone's stories, throwing in comments here and there. She noticed he did that a lot. Made space for other people to talk, made sure everyone felt included. When the bell rang, Lily realized she hadn't thought about her problems at home for a whole 30 minutes. She'd just been present in the moment, almost enjoying herself. "Same time tomorrow?" Alex asked her as they gathered their trash. "Yeah," Lily said, surprising herself. "Same time tomorrow." Over the next few weeks, sitting with Ryan's group became part of Lily's routine. They adopted her into their little circle without any fuss. She started staying after school some days when Jordan worked on art projects, just sitting in the art room doing homework while Jordan painted. Alex showed her basic photography techniques, lending Lily an old camera to play around with. Tyler helped her catch up in math when she fell behind. But it was the conversations with Ryan that meant the most. He had this way of actually listening. Really listening. Not just waiting for his turn to talk, but genuinely hearing what she said. One afternoon, they were sitting on the front steps of the school waiting for their rides home. Most students had already left and the parking lot was quiet. "Can I ask you something?" Lily said suddenly. "Sure." "That day in the hallway, you said your mom died. How did you keep going?" Ryan was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the empty parking lot. "Honestly, some days I didn't think I could. Those first few months were really dark. I didn't want to get out of bed. Didn't want to talk to anyone. My dad was a mess too, so we were both just kind of surviving, not really living." "What changed?" Lily asked softly. "Mr. Patterson, that teacher I told you about, he didn't just check on me once. He kept checking. Every few days he'd find me and ask how I was doing. And he got me connected with a grief counselor at school. That helped a lot. But mostly I think what saved me was realizing that my mom wouldn't want me to stop living my life. She'd want me to keep going, to find joy again, even if it felt impossible." He turned to look at Lily. "Why are you asking? What's going on with you?" Lily had been keeping her family problems to herself, but something about the way Ryan asked made the words start pouring out. She told him about her dad losing his job, about the constant fighting, about feeling like her family was falling apart, about how tired she was of pretending everything was fine when nothing was fine. Ryan didn't try to fix it or tell her it wasn't a big deal. He just listened. When she finished, he said, "That sounds really hard. Like really hard. Have you talked to your parents about how their fighting affects you?" "No," Lily admitted. "I don't want to make things worse." "But keeping it all inside is making things worse for you," Ryan pointed out gently. "Maybe they don't realize how much it's affecting you. Sometimes parents get so caught up in their own stress they forget to think about what their kids are going through." That night, Lily worked up the courage to talk to her parents. She found them in the living room, sitting in separate chairs, not talking, just staring at the TV. The tension in the room was thick. "Can I talk to you both?" Lily asked, her voice shaking. They looked up, surprised. "Of course, honey," her mom said. Lily sat down on the couch. "I know things are hard right now. I know you're both stressed about money and everything, but I need you to know that all the fighting, all the tension, it's really affecting me. I feel like I'm watching our family fall apart and I don't know what to do." Her mom's face crumpled. Her dad looked shocked, like he'd never considered how their problems were impacting her. "I didn't realize," her dad said quietly. "We've been so caught up in our own worries. I'm so sorry, Lily." Her mom moved to sit beside her, pulling her into a hug. "We're going to do better. I promise. Things are hard right now, but we're still a family. We're going to figure this out." It wasn't a magic fix. Her parents still stressed about money. Her dad was still looking for work. But after that conversation, they made an effort to keep their arguments private and to have family dinners together, actually talking about their days, small changes but important ones. At school, Lily continued to flourish. Alex convinced her to join the art club, even though Lily insisted she couldn't draw. "You don't have to be good at it," Alex said. "You just have to enjoy it." So Lily started going to art club meetings after school. She discovered she liked working with watercolors, the way the colors bled into each other, creating something soft and beautiful. Jordan gave her tips, and soon Lily was spending her free time painting. It became her escape, her way of processing everything she felt. Her grades started improving. She wasn't getting straight A's like before, but she was passing everything, turning in completed assignments. Her teachers noticed the change, commenting on how good it was to see her engaged again. One day in the cafeteria, Lily looked around the table at her friends, listening to Tyler and Alex debate about whether the movie was better than the book, watching Jordan sketch something in their notebook, seeing Ryan laugh at something silly. She realized she was happy. Actually, genuinely happy. A few months ago, she'd been on the floor of that hallway feeling like her whole world was ending. Now she was here, surrounded by people who cared about her, doing better in school, talking to her parents, painting in her free time. She had her life back. Not the same life as before, but maybe a better one. After school that day, she found Ryan at his locker. "Hey," she said, "I just wanted to say thank you for everything. For stopping that day, for being my friend, for not giving up on me." Ryan smiled. "You don't have to thank me. I'm just glad you're okay. You're doing really well, you know. I'm proud of you." "I want to do what you did," Lily said suddenly. "Pay it forward. Help someone else the way you helped me." Ryan's smile grew wider. "I was hoping you'd say that." Lily started paying attention differently after that conversation with Ryan. She began noticing things she'd missed before, when she'd been too wrapped up in her own problems. The quiet kids who sat alone, the ones who kept their heads down, the ones who looked like they were barely holding it together. She saw herself in them. The old version of herself from just a few months ago. It was late October when she first noticed the new girl. She was a freshman, small with dark curly hair, always carrying an overstuffed backpack that seemed too heavy for her thin frame. Lily saw her eating lunch alone at a table near the vending machines, headphones in, eyes fixed on her phone like she was trying to be invisible. Lily watched her for a few days, remembering how she used to sit alone by the windows. The girl always looked tense, like she was waiting for something bad to happen. She never talked to anyone, never smiled. "You see her too?" Ryan asked one day at lunch following Lily's gaze. "Yeah," Lily said. "She looks so alone." "You should talk to her," Alex suggested. "You're really good at making people feel comfortable." Lily wasn't sure about that, but she knew she had to try. The next day, she walked over to the girl's table with her lunch tray. The girl looked up, startled, pulling out one earbud. "Hey," Lily said with a friendly smile. "I'm Lily. Mind if I sit here?" The girl's eyes widened with surprise. She glanced around like she was checking to make sure Lily wasn't talking to someone else. Sure, I guess." Lily sat down across from her. "I haven't seen you around before. Are you new?" "Yeah," the girl said quietly. "I'm Sophie. I transferred here a few weeks ago." "How are you liking it so far?" Lily asked, even though she could already see the answer in Sophie's expression. Sophie shrugged, not meeting her eyes. "It's fine." They sat in silence for a moment. Lily remembered how hard it had been when Ryan first tried to talk to her, how she'd wanted to open up but hadn't known how. She decided to be honest. "I transferred to a new school once, a few years ago," Lily lied gently. "It was really hard. I didn't know anyone, and everyone already had their friend groups. I felt invisible." Sophie looked up at her then, really looked at her. "Yeah," she said softly. "That's exactly how it feels." "Well, you're not invisible to me," Lily said. "And if you want, you could sit with me and my friends tomorrow. No pressure, but the offer's there." Sophie's expression shifted between hope and fear. "I don't know. I'm not really good at the whole friend thing." "Neither was I," Lily admitted. "But these people are different. They're kind. They don't judge. They just accept you as you are." The next day, Sophie showed up at their table looking nervous and ready to run at any second. But Alex immediately started asking her about her favorite music, and Tyler made a dumb joke that made Sophie laugh. Jordan complimented her backpack, which had pins all over it from different bands and shows. Lily watched Sophie slowly relax, saw the tension leave her shoulders. She caught Ryan's eye across the table, and he nodded at her with a proud smile. Over the next few weeks, Sophie became part of their group. She was quieter than the others, but she was there. She started smiling more, started talking about things she liked instead of just agreeing with whatever everyone else said. One afternoon, Sophie pulled Lily aside after school. "Can I tell you something?" Sophie asked, her voice shaking. "Of course. At my old school, I was bullied. Like really badly. Every single day. They'd follow me in the hallways, say horrible things, post mean stuff about me online. It got so bad that I had to transfer here." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "I was so scared that the same thing would happen here. That everyone would hate me again. I started to think that maybe something was just wrong with me. You know?" Lily's heart broke. "Sophie, there's nothing wrong with you. I know that now," Sophie said, wiping her eyes. "Because of you. Because you saw me sitting alone and decided to care. If you hadn't done that, I don't know where I'd be right now. I was in a really dark place when I came here. I'd even thought about, not being here anymore." Lily felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. "Sophie, but you saved me," Sophie continued. "You and Ryan and everyone. You gave me hope that there are still good people in the world, that not everyone is cruel, that I deserve to have friends and be happy." Lily pulled Sophie into a hug, fighting back her own tears. She'd had no idea things were that bad. She just wanted to help someone feel less alone, the way Ryan had helped her. She hadn't realized she might have actually saved a life. That evening, Lily told Ryan what Sophie had shared with her. They were sitting in his car in the school parking lot, one of their regular after-school talk sessions. "You did an amazing thing," Ryan said quietly. "You reached out when she needed it most." "But I almost didn't," Lily said. "I watched her sit alone for days before I worked up the courage to talk to her. What if I had waited longer? What if—" "But you didn't wait," Ryan interrupted gently. "You did reach out. You made a difference. That's what matters." He was quiet for a moment, then said, "I never told you the whole story about Mr. Patterson. The day he first talked to me in the library, I'd made a plan. I wasn't going to come to school the next day, or any day after that. I was done." Lily's breath caught. "Ryan, but Mr. Patterson stopped me. He saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself anymore. He reminded me that pain is temporary, that things change, that I had so much life ahead of me still to live." Ryan's eyes were wet. "He saved my life that day, and then he taught me something really important. He said that we're all connected, that every act of kindness creates ripples we can't even see, that one person choosing to care can change everything, not just for one person, but for everyone that person then goes on to help." "Like a chain," Lily said, understanding clicking into place. "Exactly like a chain. Mr. Patterson helped me. I helped you. You helped Sophie. And now Sophie will help someone else someday. The kindness just keeps spreading, touching more and more lives." Lily thought about that, about how a teacher she'd never met had unknowingly changed her life by helping Ryan, about how Ryan's kindness in that hallway had set everything in motion, about how Sophie, who'd been struggling so badly, now had hope and friends and a future. "It's incredible," she said. "One simple choice, one moment of deciding to care, and it creates all of this. That's the power we all have," Ryan said. "Every single day we have the power to change someone's life. We just have to choose to see them. Choose to stop. Choose to help." The next week, Lily noticed something that made her smile. Sophie was sitting with a girl who looked just as lost and alone as Sophie had been when she first arrived. They were talking, sharing lunch, and Sophie had that same determined kindness in her expression that Lily recognized because she'd felt it herself. The chain was continuing. At lunch that day, their table was more crowded than usual. A few other kids had started joining them, friends of Sophie's or people that Alex had befriended in photography club. Tyler had invited someone from his math team. Their little group was growing, becoming a safe space for kids who needed one. "We're going to need a bigger table," Jordan joked, squeezing in their chair. "Or several tables," Alex added. Ryan caught Lily's eye and smiled. This was what kindness did. It multiplied, it spread. One person helping one person, who then helped another, who then helped another, until suddenly a whole community of care existed where there had been nothing before. Lily pulled out her phone and texted her parents. "Love you both. "Things are really good right now," her mom texted back immediately. "We love you too, honey. We're so proud of the person you're becoming." Lily looked around the crowded cafeteria table at all these people who'd become her friends, her support system, her chosen family. She thought about Sophie, who was now helping someone else. She thought about Ryan, who'd started all of this by simply stopping in a hallway. She thought about Mr. Patterson, a teacher who probably had no idea how far his kindness had reached, and she felt grateful. Grateful for the hard times that taught her empathy. Grateful for the people who'd helped her. Grateful for the chance to pass it forward. She was learning that the world could be cruel, but it could also be incredibly kind. And every single person had the power to decide which one they'd add to. Every moment was a choice. Stop or keep walking, help or ignore, care or turn away. Lily knew which choice she'd be making for the rest of her life. 2 years passed in what felt like both forever and no time at all. Lily stood in her cap and gown on graduation day, looking out at the sea of students in the auditorium. Her parents sat in the audience together, smiling. Things at home weren't perfect. They never would be, but they were good. Her dad had found a new job about a year ago. The fighting had mostly stopped. They'd learned to talk through their problems instead of screaming about them. Her family had survived the storm. The principal stepped up to the microphone. "And now our valedictorian Lily Chen will share a few words." Lily's stomach flipped as she walked to the podium. Public speaking had never been her thing, but when she'd been chosen as valedictorian, she knew exactly what she wanted to talk about. She had to tell this story. She looked out at the crowd, found Ryan in the second row, saw him give her an encouraging nod. Alex, Tyler, and Jordan sat next to him, all smiling up at her. Sophie was a few rows back, now a junior, sitting with the friends she'd made over the past 2 years. Lily took a deep breath and began. 2 years ago, I was having the worst day of my life. Actually, I was having the worst several months of my life. I felt invisible, alone, and completely hopeless. And then something happened that changed everything. She told them about the hallway, about dropping her backpack, about feeling like her whole world was falling apart. She didn't use Ryan's name, but she saw him duck his head, saw Alex elbow him gently. Someone stopped. Lily continued. In a hallway full of rushing students, one person chose to stop and help. That person didn't know me, had no obligation to me, but they stopped anyway. They helped me pick up my books, and then they gave me something even more valuable. They gave me their time, their friendship, and their story. She paused, looking around the auditorium. This person told me about someone who'd helped them during their darkest time. A teacher who'd noticed they were struggling and reached out. And that teacher had probably been helped by someone else before that. And on, an invisible chain of kindness connecting all of us. Lily's voice grew stronger. That one moment in the hallway set off a ripple effect I never could have imagined. Because of that person's kindness, I found my way back. I made friends who became family. I rediscovered things I loved. I learned how to help others the way I'd been helped. She thought about Sophie, about the girl who'd been bullied so badly she'd considered ending her life. And then I got to pass that kindness forward. I noticed someone else who looked like they were drowning, and I threw them a lifeline. And you know what? That person is here today, thriving, happy, helping others too. The chain continues. Some people in the audience were nodding. A few were wiping their eyes. Here's what I learned, Lily said, her voice ringing clear through the auditorium. We're all fighting battles nobody knows about. Every single person in this room is dealing with something. Maybe it's family problems, maybe it's mental health struggles, maybe it's bullying or loneliness or grief. We're all carrying invisible weights. She gripped the edges of the podium. But here's the beautiful part. We also all have the power to lighten someone else's load. Doesn't take much. Sometimes it's just stopping in a hallway. Sometimes it's sitting with someone at lunch. Sometimes it's just sending a text to check if someone's okay. Small gestures that feel like nothing to us can mean everything to someone who's struggling. Lily looked directly at her parents in the audience. I also learned that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to need help. Asking for help isn't weakness. It's courage. And to anyone listening who's going through a hard time right now, please know that it gets better. Hold on, reach out. Let people in. You deserve support. You deserve kindness. You deserve to be happy. She saw her mom crying, saw her dad reach over and squeeze her hand. As we leave here today and go out into the world, I want to challenge all of us to keep the chain going. Notice the people around you. See the ones who are struggling. Be the person who stops in the hallway. Be the person who reaches out. Be the person who cares, Lily smiled. Because you never know. That one small act of kindness might save someone's life. It might set off a ripple effect that touches dozens of people. It might change everything. She stepped back from the podium. Thank you. And congratulations to the class of 2027. The auditorium erupted in applause. Students stood cheering. Lily walked back to her seat, her heart pounding, feeling lighter than she had in years. After the ceremony, people swarmed her. Teachers congratulated her on the speech. Classmates she barely knew told her how much it meant to them. A few students pulled her aside privately, thanking her for talking about mental health, telling her they'd been struggling too and felt less alone after hearing her words. But the moment that mattered most was when her parents found her in the crowd. Her mom pulled her into a tight hug. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered. "Not just for being valedictorian, but for who you've become. You're so strong, honey, so brave." Her dad hugged her next. "That speech was incredible. And thank you for being honest with us 2 years ago. Thank you for telling us how our fighting was affecting you. We needed to hear that. You helped us save our family." Lily felt tears running down her face, happy tears this time. "We saved it together." Later, she found Ryan outside with their friend group. He pulled her into a hug immediately. "You told our story," he said, laughing. "I had to," Lily replied. "People need to know that kindness matters, that they matter." "I'm really proud of you," Ryan said seriously. "Look at everything you've accomplished. Look at how far you've come from that day in the hallway. I couldn't have done it without you." "Yes, you could have," Ryan said firmly. "I just gave you a little push. You did all the hard work yourself. You chose to heal. You chose to grow. You chose to help others. That was all you." Sophie appeared then, throwing her arms around both of them. "That speech made me cry like 5 times. Thank you for everything, Lily. I mean it. Thank you for saving me." "You saved yourself," Lily said, echoing Ryan's words. "You chose to keep going. You chose to be brave. I just walked beside you for a little while." Alex, Tyler, and Jordan joined the group hug, all of them standing there in their graduation robes, laughing and crying together. "What's next for everyone?" Tyler asked when they finally pulled apart. They went around sharing their plans. Alex was going to art school in California. Tyler had a full scholarship to MIT. Jordan was taking a gap year to work on their art. Ryan was staying local, planning to become a teacher like Mr. Patterson. When it was Lily's turn, she smiled. "I'm going to study social work. I want to work with teenagers who are going through hard times. I want to be there for kids who feel invisible, who think nobody cares, who don't know how to ask for help." Ryan grinned. "You're going to be amazing at that." "We all are," Lily said, looking around at her friends. "We're all going to go out there and keep the chain going. Keep spreading kindness. Keep noticing people. Keep making a difference." That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She lay in bed thinking about everything that had happened over the past 2 years. The transformation from that broken girl on the hallway floor to the person she was now. The friendships she'd made. The people she'd helped. The life she'd rebuilt. She thought about Mr. Patterson, the teacher she'd never met who started the whole chain by helping Ryan. She wondered how many other lives he'd changed over his career. How many students he'd pulled back from the edge. She thought about Ryan, who'd turned his own pain into purpose, who'd chosen to use his trauma as a tool to help others. She thought about Sophie, who'd survived bullying and suicidal thoughts and come out stronger, who was now helping others the way she'd been helped. And she thought about all the people she hadn't met yet. The teenagers she'd work with in her future career. The lives she'd touch. The difference she'd make. One act of kindness in a hallway had changed her entire life. Had probably saved her life if she was being honest. And now she got to spend the rest of her life passing that forward. Creating her own ripple effects. Starting her own chains of compassion. The next morning, Lily's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hi, Lily. You don't know me, but I was at your graduation yesterday. Your speech really moved me. I've been having a really hard time lately, and hearing your story gave me hope. Thank you for being brave enough to share it." Lily stared at the message, feeling that familiar warmth in her chest. Someone out there had heard her story and felt less alone. "That's what it was all about," she typed back quickly. "Thank you for reaching out. I'm so glad the speech helped. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." As she hit send, Lily smiled. The chain was continuing, reaching further than she could see, touching lives she'd never know about. That one moment 2 years ago in a crowded hallway kept rippling outward, creating waves of change. And all because one person chose to stop, chose to care, chose to help. That was the power of kindness. That was the power they all had, every single day and every single interaction. The power to change everything. Lily got out of bed and walked to her window, looking out at the sunrise painting the sky pink and orange. It was a new day. A new chapter. A whole future full of opportunities to make a difference. She was ready. Ready to keep the chain going. Ready to be someone's Ryan. Ready to stop in hallways, reach out to struggling students, show up for people who felt invisible. Because she knew better than anyone how much one person's kindness could matter. How one moment could change the trajectory of an entire life. And she was going to spend the rest of her life making sure that anyone who needed that kind of help got it. That nobody had to feel as alone as she once did. That the chain of compassion she'd been blessed to be part of would continue, growing stronger and reaching further with each person who chose to care. The world could be hard. Life could be painful. But it could also be beautiful. It could also be full of people who stopped in hallways, who noticed the struggling ones, who reached out with kindness when it was needed most. Lily Chen was one of those people now. And she always would be, because a simple act of kindness in a hallway had changed everything, and she was determined to keep changing everything, one person at a time for the rest of her life.